It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
I feel bad the podcast is up a day late. That may not matter at all, depending on when you're listening to it. But if you are a Monday listener and you were looking for a Monday episode, the streak ended today of just consecutive Monday, Wednesday, Friday releases. It'd been a minute, and I was feeling like we're in a decent little groove, but today it just wasn't in the cards. More on that on tomorrow's episode. I know it makes sense to talk about it today, but I think I want to wait and talk about it tomorrow because I've got plenty of stuff I want to get to on today's podcast, including the fact that my kids are not quite at a couple different levels. One of them includes April Fools. One of them includes Easter. We'll get into that to see if your kids are there and if it's way better or not. We're going to talk a little bit about what I did over the weekend because I got to go to Detroit, so we'll talk a little tiny bit about that. A shout out to an app that I used to love that I think I'm having a little bit of a beef with right now. And Keller's What Are You Into? A food that I did not think I would be talking about on the podcast today, but it is one that needs some love. Can we start off with the fact that today's April Fool's? Today is April Fool's Day. I hope you made it through April Fool's, at least when I'm recording this. I know when you're listening to it, it's been hours since you had to deal with the saran wrap across the door, your car saran wrapped, the toilet seat saran wrap. Big saran wrap day. Big April Fool's. I forget every year. This is the week before April Fool's, or maybe 2 weeks is the time to invest in saran wrap companies. And then let business boom over April Fools, and then sell until the next year rolls around. It's the holiday of cellophane. So I didn't have any of that today. I hope you avoided it, and that your Tuesday or whenever you're listening to this is going smoothly without the embarrassment of April Fools. I did get fooled on two things today, I think. I got fooled by my wife, again, on something that we're going to talk about tomorrow, but a brutal text from my wife that I bit on hook, line, and sinker and sent my blood pressure through the roof. So thank you, Anna, for that one. And then on a Discord channel that I'm on, this one is such a 2024 April Fool's joke. And I don't know if you can do it. I don't think you can do it on someone else's phone with what you would normally see these on. But I am a big, clean home screen guy for my phone. And not your home screen when your phone's just sitting down, but when you unlock your phone and you've got all your apps, I don't like the bubbles. I don't like the red bubbles. And on Discord, if you are in a bunch of servers and there's servers that have messages for you waiting on them, maybe someone's responded to a post or a comment that you made, and there'll be a little red notification. Well, one of the guys who runs one of the Discord channels I'm in remade the logo for the Discord channel with the red notification being permanently attached to it. And I spent a good 5 to 7 minutes trying to figure out how to get that notification to go away because that drives me crazy. And then finally realizing, oh, that's not actually a notification. And I just spent 5 minutes falling for Jacob's April Fool's trick. So I did get it. I just didn't get it for my kids. My kids aren't to that age yet. I'm excited for them to get to that age. I'm ready for my kids to try to prank me with whatever hijinks they've got, and I'm real excited to try to pull the wool over my kids' eyes. Yeah, I'm a child forever, but I'm real excited for April Fools to hit here at the Widmer home. We're just not to that level yet. If I tricked my kids right now, they would think that I'm being mean, and they would cry, and we would not rally from it. And my daughter would come up to me and stick her tongue on it and say, "You're being mean, Dad," as she says so many times about to me while I'm simply getting her in trouble for pushing her brother. "You're mean, Dad." Yeah, well, takes one to know one, right, Olivia? We also aren't somewhere else that I'm ready to get to. As much as I'm excited for April Fools to get to that spot where we're, putting water cups on top of doors, I'm ready for our Easter hunt skills to go up a little bit because we were here for Easter. I threw together an Easter egg hunt in the backyard for Huck and Olivia, and I was like, okay, well, let's see how this goes. I'm going to run just kind of a test run, and I'm going to throw a bunch of the eggs out there on the ground, and we're going to run. The kids are going to run around and pick them up, very basic. And then if Olivia likes it, we're going to go with a step up, and we're going to hide the eggs a little more. And then I watched her try to do just the Easter egg hunt where they were just laying scattered around in plain sight. And I thought, yeah, we're not there yet. We're not ready to advance to the Easter egg hunt that I'm dying to do. The one where you lose an egg and find it next year. I'm ready for that Easter egg hunt. And we are, like I said, we're not there yet. If you have to lift anything to hide an egg, it's not going to happen. If you have to hide it, around a corner, underneath a couple of leaves or anything like that, that will stay there. We are not hunting for Easter eggs yet. So I'm real excited for that, though, because that will be something that this dad is going to be hyped about. Getting out there and just finding the greatest hiding spots that I forget about, that maybe the kids find, putting some fun stuff in the eggs, and I'm ready for some good Easter egg hunts. But we're still basic right now. I mean, Huck extremely basic. I think the only eggs he found on this Easter egg hunt were either the ones that, as a dad, you go, okay, I'm going to put these things in an obvious place. I'm going to let them find them. And 2 minutes in, I'm like, okay, you got to be kidding me, Huck. So here I am walking out to the egg in the middle of the field, standing over it, just pointing down at it. Like, right here, buddy, and it still takes him a minute. Outside of those, the only eggs he found, though, were the ones that dropped out of his sister's overflowing Easter basket. And he loved finding those. He just trailed her the whole time. She'd find one would drop out, and he'd pick it up and be like, look, Dad, another pink one. Good job, Huck. So we're not to maximum level of Easter egg hunt yet, but I'm ready to be there. I'm ready for April Fools to hit. I'm ready for Easter to hit. It'll be good. Okay, so this last week, before we get into Kelly's What Are You Into, I wanted to make a couple observations because I made a trip on Friday after I recorded Friday's podcast. If you listened to it, you heard me rushing through Friday's podcast because I went to Detroit. Went to Detroit, Michigan, my first time ever to Detroit, to go watch the Gonzaga Bulldogs unfortunately lose, but take on the Purdue Boilermakers in the Sweet 16. Really cool opportunity. Very fun to get to go to that game. Got to watch Purdue Gonzaga, then got to watch Creighton against Tennessee. And it was really fun. It got to go to Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, which is where the Detroit Pistons and the Detroit Red Wings play. And it was great because my seat's right next to my buddy Josh. It was so wonderful to see Josh. I got to tell you, I mean, we've been in Lexington now for half a year, and I miss my friends. I've hit a point where like I'm missing as spring rolls around. I can sniff outdoor basketball in the air, the outdoor walks in the neighborhood, come back around in the spring. Spring brings people back out, and together at patios across Spokane. And I'm starting to get that vibe where I'm going to be missing my buddies a lot. So to see one of my best, the best ones that I know up there was really nice. And Josh has been a good friend for a long time. His wife Sarah is equally as awesome as he is. Those are two people I know. My wife and I mention it a lot. We're like, we miss Josh and Sarah. They've got great kids that get along with our kids. And we miss them. Sarah, you need to catch up on Survivor. And if you're not on Survivor, what are you watching? Are you watching The Challenge or anything? Sarah was my reality TV friend. And then it was funny. She stopped watching Survivor while I kept watching Survivor. And she kept watching The Challenge while I stopped watching The Challenge. So we liked the same shows. We just got off a little bit. So, Sarah, if you're not in on Survivor, are you going to be in on the new season of The Challenge? Anyways, the Coxes are great. Love them to death. And Coxie was nice enough to share his hotel room with me. So that wasn't an expense I had to have on the trip to Detroit, which made it feasible for me to drive up there. A little over 5.5 hour drive to get to Detroit from Lexington, which is not terrible. The problem was I left here at noon thinking I had plenty of time. The game tipped off at 7:30, so that's 7.5 hours. You do the math. That's 2 extra hours. And I hit Cincinnati, Ohio, and there was an accident. And apparently it was a really, really bad one because it was a 1.5 hour delay. I was in 0 mile per hour standstill traffic. At one point, I was parked on the interstate for 20 minutes. Parked, not moving at all. And that got a little stressful because then I was cutting it real close. In fact, I parked outside the hotel, got in an Uber, and got to the arena as the game was tipping off. There was 6 minutes to go before tip-off when I walked into the arena, and I was able to get there before tip, which was great. Didn't miss any of the game, but it was a little hectic. Anyways, trip to Detroit was great. I love Detroit. Had never been there. It was a really cool downtown. I know there's a lot of stories about Detroit and that it's sketchy and that it's like lower income and dangerous and 8 Mile and all that. I thought downtown Detroit was sick. And I'm sure just like every city, it's got its pockets that are a little more unfriendly than others. But I thought Detroit was great. I would highly recommend visiting it, especially if you're a sports person. All of their stadiums looked rad. They're all right next to each other. The place was at Comerica where the Tigers play looked so cool. Ford Field looked great. And like I said, Little Caesars Arena, which Josh and I agreed, we got some Little Caesars pizza at Little Caesars Arena. It was better than any other pizza place that like your nationwide pizza place. It was better than any of them. It was unreal. Little Caesars Arena pizza is spectacular. I actually like Little Caesars anyways, so you got to take that with a grain of salt coming from me. I like it anyways, but it was really good. Josh even said it too. He goes, "That's the best Little Caesars ever," which it makes sense. It's in their arena, but it was awesome. Anyways, I think I'm going to have more Detroit stories coming up for you again on tomorrow's podcast. The couple things that I wanted to mention though on this, it was very fun as a dad. You get in the car and I realized I've got a 5.5 hour, 20-minute, 5.5 hour drive to get to a destination with no kids in the car, which meant that the speakers and the stereo was my oyster. That world was my oyster. I didn't have anyone in the back seat yelling, "Hey, Dad, goofball no longer" from Inside Out. "Hey, Dad, it's Danny Go time. We're ready for bouncing time. Hit me with it." We weren't doing any of that. I had full reign of the stereo. And for the first hour as I drove to Cincinnati, I had nothing. I drove in complete and total silence. And it was the most majestic hour of my week because it was silence in the middle of the day. Not at night. We get our hours of silence when the kids go to bed. In the early morning, if you can wake up before Huck, you get that time of silence. This was in the middle of the day. Prime time craziness. And an hour of silence. Thank you to my wife for watching the kids. That was huge. So thank you, Anna, for that. That was going above and beyond. Unbelievable wifesmanship. Is that a thing? Sure. Why not? You know what I meant. So I was awesome. I really appreciate that. But then I just dove into some podcasts. I got to listen to a ton of podcasts on the drive up. I listened to a ton of podcasts on the drive back. I caught up on a lot of them. It was just, I love driving. It was wonderful. Even with a long traffic jam, I love driving. I love being in the car. I love seeing the open road. It's very flat in Ohio, which is different than a lot of the road trips you make on the West Coast. Kind of fun. And one of the things I noticed, if you are a Midwest to East Coast person, at least where we are, I never have any idea where Kentucky is in terms of geography. We're Mid-East is what we are, but I don't think there is a Mid-East when people talk about the U.S. So for the 50 millionth time, I just say the East because we're on the Eastern Standard Time Zone. If you are driving out here and you are passing by all of the freeway off-ramps, there is a staple place along all of them, two of them, that are at every single turnoff that you can go to. And it shocked me because I think a lot of the road trips I've been on the West Coast, if you hit one of the interstate exits, you'll get a gas station or two, obviously. And then you normally get a Wendy's or a McDonald's, and they're attached to a gas station. Sometimes, occasionally you'll get a Starbucks, depending on how far west you are. And then those are kind of the ones. And I'm trying to think outside of that. If you're driving on the West Coast, a lot of the drives I've made, it's McDonald's, it's Wendy's, maybe a Taco Bell, but it's pretty slim pickings with those ones right there. We didn't have it. There was not a lot of Burger Kings. I've talked about how there's a lot of Burger Kings out here, but it was crazy here. Very different. Two names stood out, and they were not fast food places, which was crazy to me. I've never been to one of them. And it's a staple from hip-hop songs of my life. And the other one I've been to one time with my wife, and that is Bob Evans. And Bob Evans, I believe, is let me make sure I got it right here. Bob Evans is an American chain of restaurants owned by Golden Gate Capital. And it's kind of like a Denny's or a Perkins, I believe, where they specialize in a lot of breakfast stuff. And I went there once with my wife. It was really good. We had breakfast stuff there, and it was great. But they're on every single exit. And if it's not a Bob Evans, it's a Waffle House. It's wild. It's every one. So, what I was used to where it's the options are, man, if you hit an exit, you're looking at either a fast food place or you're getting some gas station food. Here they're like, nah, man, we got you. Sit down restaurants, Waffle House, Bob Evans, every other exit. You pick you pick which one you want to go to depending on if your odds are evens, and they were everywhere. So now I have to try Waffle House. I have to. Hang on. Got to get a sip of water. There we go. That'll help. I've got to try Waffle House. It's going to need to be on the list of places to go to, but they're everywhere. Now, will I be trying a Waffle House soon? Probably not, because if I go to a breakfast spot in the next couple of weeks, it's going to be IHOP. This is the way you get me to take my kids out to your restaurant. It's very simple. First of all, you say the word pancakes. Say the word pancakes around my kids, they're going to come running. And it doesn't matter if they're good pancakes or bad pancakes. It doesn't matter if you have syrup on them or not. My kids will just devour those things. You throw them out, they're going to eat them. Huck's almost at the point where I think you could frisbee them to him, and he would jump like a dog and catch them in his mouth. That's how much he loves pancakes. He's going to go out for them. But IHOP is bringing it on my level because they are incorporating a thing I like, taking my kids out to breakfast. I'm not a big breakfast guy myself. My kids love it. Taking my kids out to breakfast and video games. The new Knuckles movie, Sonic, new Knuckles movie comes out at the end of the month. I've not seen the Sonic movies. I actually need to do that. I've never been a big Sonic the Hedgehog guy because I didn't have a Sega video game system growing up. And the people who did have one, I would play Sonic and just did not enjoy it as much as I liked Mario. I was a Mario guy. I think for the most part, people are Sonic people or Mario people. And there's plenty of people who like both. But I think you just end up liking one of them. And then for some reason, when you like one of them, the other one just doesn't work for you as well. Because they, as similar as they are, 2D platformers, they play very differently. And so once you get used to one, that's the one you want to play. So I was a Mario person, but I respect Sonic. And I do want to see the movies, even though I know they've been out for a very long time. I actually tried to get my daughter to watch them with me, and she did not like him. Said that Jim Carrey, Dr. Eggman, Robotnik, what is it? He was too scary. And so we had to pass on watching the Sonic movies so far, which is a bummer because I'm ready. I just thought maybe I could weasel my kids into it to justify watching a little kids movie. Anyways, IHOP, 6 new menu items go hand in hand with the Sonic movie. If you've got a kid who's into Sonic, this is going to be the thing to do. If you're a parent looking to get out of the house, this is as easy of a reason for me to go try it. Here are your 6 items going to be thrown on this menu. They'll be there till it looks like early May. Sonic's Blue Blur Special. 4 buttermilk pancakes with double the blueberries for double the speed. That's right, double the blueberries. So you get your blue pancakes. That'll be good. The Knuckles, who's got the movie Knuckles Chicken Sandwich. Shout out to Knuckles for knowing that I'm not a breakfast person. A crispy chicken sandwich with bacon, lettuce, tomato, avocado, cheese, buttermilk ranch. Won't leave you hangry, they say on the press release. The Tails 2x2x2. See, Tails has 2 tails. And the Tails 2x2x2. Uh-oh, my whole computer just freaked out. Right in the middle of me reading these. Nothing's been wrong with it. Right in the middle of me reading these things, everything goes crazy. Hang on. Let me see if I can get back to it. It doesn't even want me to go back to it. Hang on. Oh, that's bad. That's bad timing. Let's see if we can get back to that. There we go. There it is. I don't believe this doesn't look like it's April Fool's either. This came out today, but everything I'm reading is that it's real. Okay, the Tails 2x2x2. 2 eggs, 2 pancakes, 2 bacon strips, 2 sausage links, just like Tails. Everything comes in 2s. So that'll be good. Just kind of classic. Again, these are nothing like revolutionary, but hey, I'm in. They're all Sonic things. Shadows Chaos Chocolate Pancakes. A little chaotic 4-stack filled with chocolate chips. The ultimate pancake experience. So there is your counter to the Sonic's blueberry pancakes. The Shadows Chaos Chocolate Pancakes. Amy's Sweet Strawberry Delight. Vanilla ice cream, chocolate syrup, fresh strawberries atop a golden brown waffle quarter. A golden brown waffle quarter. It's a perfectly sweet dessert for an epic adventure. So there you go. I guess it's a dessert, but also I'm in on ice cream on a waffle. In on that. I love myself a good waffle. Dr. Eggman's Benedict, a 300 IQ genius like Eggman, knows that the Black Forest ham, poached eggs, and creamy hollandaise sauce makes for a superior meal. The Dr. Eggman's Benedict. So there you go. You got a Benedict in there. 6 menu items from IHOP. If you like Sonic, if the kids like Sonic, this could be a fun reason to take them out and get them some breakfast. Or you can be like me, take the kids to get their pancakes. They'll both get the tails 2x2x2. And I'll be rocking that Knuckles chicken sandwich because that's the way I roll.
Kelly's, what are you into?
Speaking of food, and this is coming from somebody who is not a huge breakfast person, today's Kelly's What Are You Into gets a shout out to my mother-in-law, Lisa, who, again, tomorrow we're going to talk about why all this happened. I just didn't have time today. But Lisa hooked us up over the weekend with tons of food, leftover food from all the Easter festivities, and sent over a bunch of this really good ham, really, really good ham, really good sliced turkey, and she sent over some snacks. And I'm not a big dessert guy, and I'm not a big breakfast guy, but I have a sweet tooth for carrot cake in the morning, and she sent over some unbelievable carrot cake. And this is a cake that all of my whining and complaining over the years about how I do not like sweets and I do not like breakfast, I wanted to step into the world of both of them and say, okay, there are some things I actually like in this world. As much as I don't like chocolate chip cookies and I don't like chocolate cake, and there's a lot of times there'll be dessert on the table and I'm just kind of like, I would eat another hamburger instead. Carrot cake in the morning is so stinking good. Oh my gosh. A cup of coffee with, a third of a cup of coffee, 2/3 creamer, and a big old slice of carrot cake. I had one on the deck. I went out on the deck yesterday and had myself a slice of carrot cake, had myself the coffee, and just sat there and looked at the backyard. And it was about as perfect as it gets. So, my Kelly's, what are you into? I've got a dessert that I'm into that I wanted to be excited about because people get excited about desserts, and I'm always the naysayers like, that stuff sucks. And people are like, how do you not like eating breakfast? Well, now I've got one. I ate something for breakfast. I know it's not traditional breakfast, but I think it kind of works its way in, and maybe it's going to be my gateway, right? Maybe I'm just going to get large and in charge off of carrot cakes for breakfast, and that's going to be my gateway into needing to have all the sweet things, all these pastries that y'all love in the mornings for breakfast. So thank you to Lisa for hooking us up with that because it was awesome. Okay, let's do some comments. Let's get out of here. Thank you for tuning in to the podcast. I appreciate it, whether you are listening on your favorite podcasting service or whether you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube, I would really appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button, the like button. That'd be awesome. Thank you so much. You can leave your comments there if you want. We do comments at the end of the episode, every episode. Here are the ones we have for today. One from Russ. He said, I'm so sad I was never a contestant on Slim's Big Adventure. They were good times. They were good times. Actually, got to meet, I think I'd met him in passing. One of the gals who went on one of the big adventures got to meet her husband on the trip to Denver, and he was super solid. Chris, such a studly dude. And so he was like, I think you know my wife. She went on one of your big adventures. I'm like, yeah, I know everyone who went on the big adventures because they all know to hate me because I would get real grumpy about halfway through it. Okay, let's go to Spotify. Do we have any comments on Spotify today? I think we do have one from Yvonne who said, I would send you some no-bakes if they wouldn't possibly melt. Yeah, don't worry about sending me no-bakes, Yvonne. I'm a carrot cake guy now. That's where I'm at. Carrot cake is the only thing to be sending me. Melted or not melted, I'll eat it in the morning on the deck with a cup of coffee, and it'll be good. Ron went over to Sean'sLife.com. You can head over to Sean'sLife.com, big comment box up there, and he said this. Here are my top 3 cookies. Monster cookie, snickerdoodle, sugar cookie with pink icing. Ron, the sugar cookie with pink icing, I know I left that off my list. I talked to you about why that was. It's a Christmas thing. It's so stinking good. I don't think I know what a monster cookie is, but I can tell you right now, I don't think it sounds good. Let me see here. Monster cookie. Okay. These were a Pam Beefus, Kenny Beefus' mom. These were a Pam Beefus special. Peanut butter cookie base loaded with oats, M&Ms, and chocolate chips. They don't look bad. It's a lot of chocolate in there for me, Ron. I can see how these would be very tempting. They look really cool also. And they look great. They look great. I can just tell you I wouldn't love them, but in terms of looks, that was a great one to have as your number one. And they look way more fun than a chocolate chip cookie. So shout out to Ron. I appreciate your top 3 cookie list. Okay, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you have a great Tuesday or whenever it is you listen to this. Sorry there wasn't a Monday podcast. We're going to go back-to-back days with pods, though. So let's see how that goes. Let's just shove them down your throat, shall we?